Okay, step 4, we're going to create moon phase costumes. So what we have to do is we have to make sure we're on the moon sprite. Once we're on the moon sprite, we come over to the top left-hand corner where we have costumes. We're going to click on that tab for costumes, and we see that we only have one costume. Okay, now this costume here, we're going to name New Moon. So I'm going to come into the costume name and rename it New Moon. And the new moon is dark. Okay, and it's going to be the position between Earth, its starting position between Earth and the sun. Okay, it could be darker than this if you want it to be, but I'm going to keep it a dark gray. But from Earth's position when the moon is there, we would not be able to see the sunlight bouncing off into our eyes. The sun would be bouncing off of the backside of the moon. Okay, so in this position, this is what we would see. Okay, now, the next thing we're going to do is duplicate that first costume. So I come over to the first costume, I right-click with my mouse, and I hit duplicate. That's made a second moon. On that, let's rename it right away. We're going to make a waxing crescent moon. Okay, so now it's named. I have two different costumes for my moon. This time, I'm going to make sure my arrow is clicked here, click on it, and copy and paste. So now I have two moons. Okay, with this, we're going to take that and we're going to just make a thin yellow. Actually, we're going to take this whole thing and make it yellow. Sorry about that. I'm going to make that yellow. So take your brightness up, take your saturation up, bring this over here so we can show some brightness with a moon there. We're going to put that right over the top of the first moon. Okay. And then I'm going to just bring this in a bunch by dragging that down there. Okay. Then I can hit this reshape button and I can take them and make them slide in to try to create. And you can see on the other side over there, I'm making over here, I can see it. And I'm just trying to make a crescent. And it would be on the right side with the waxing crescent. Okay, so I'm done with that. Then I'm going to go make my first quarter moon. So I'm going to duplicate again, go to my costumes, right click and duplicate. Let's rename it right away. We're going to name it first quarter. That's the first quarter moon. And let's come into our yellow moon and let's bring it back out to show, looks like it's half done there. Doesn't have to be perfect. We don't see a perfect moon, but now we have the first quarter moon. Let's do that again and duplicate here. And now we want to create a waxing gibbous. So we've got to get this to come further out. Okay, not quite the whole thing. It's kind of like an opposite crescent where the banana is a dark banana. Okay, and you're trying to get this to be as nicely shaped as you can. Okay, that here is our waxing gibbous moon. And I'm done with that. And then I'm going to come in and right click on that one and duplicate it. And this time, I think it might be easier just to make a whole new shape that's yellow again. So I'm going to duplicate this by copying, hitting that arrow, copy, paste. Now I have two. Let's put this over the top and make that yellow. Brighten this up, saturation, find my yellow, get the saturation way up and the brightness way up. And I'm going to make that as bright as I can for my full moon. Click there. Let's change this name to full moon. Fantastic. And then we're going to right click on that. And I should have 8 by the time I'm done. So this is going to get duplicated. And now we're down to, after the full moon, we're going to go to waning gibbous. The next phase would be waning gibbous. And the waning gibbous is going to be lit up more on the left side than the right side. So again, I'm going to hit this reshape tool right here. And I'm going to come in opposite this time and show a more lit up left side. There we go. That's not bad. Coming down to my costumes here, clicking that, right-clicking, duplicating again. And now I'm going to go last quarter. Go last quarter there. Okay. And that would be just about half of the moon that we can see here. Half of the circle, I should say. Let's light that up. Come back on a little bit more. And I have my last quarter. That's 7. And then I go back to my costumes over here, right click, duplicate. And this time I'm going to bring it all the way in. So I have that banana shape, and that's going to be my waning crescent. Do the best I can. You can be more exact if you want to, but let's name it waning crescent moon. And now I have 8 phases of the moon, starting with the new moon and ending with the waning crescent moon. Okay, now we're going to go back to our codes. Okay, we have the code here. So to make this clearer, we know that this here is our new moon. So if I right click on this, I can add a comment which is going to help me organize. This I know is my new moon. And I can resize this just so it's out of the way, drag it there. And then I'm going to come in here. And the next one, oh, I actually hit start, so it started to go. And I'm going to right click here and add a comment. That should be my waxing crescent. Okay, and I could do this with each one of these. But just to show you what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go to my looks block and I'm going to switch the costume to match the phase that it's going to. So when it glides to that first location, I want it to switch from new moon to waxing crescent. So I also want to have it switch when the program starts because I always want it to start on the new moon. Okay, after waxing crescent, I'm going to have it switch to first quarter. Then I'm going to have it switch after the glide to first quarter. It's going to glide to the waxing crescent. Then I'm going to slide this in and create the full moon. Switch the costume after the glide to waning gibbous. Switch the costume after the glide to the last quarter. Switch the costume to the waning crescent, which is already there. And finally, we're back to new moon again. Let's test this out to see if it works. Zoom that out just a little bit there. Okay, and start. Boom, 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 boom. And I can fix this a little bit if I don't like how it's moving. Okay, and this is going to go around 12 times because remember I made the loop in the last video. All right, I'm going to stop that there, and I'm looking pretty good for step number 4.